You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's July the 7th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca. Good morning, Rev Cindy. How you doing?
Good morning, Al. I'm well. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. You know, it's a new day, new week, and it's sunny outside.
It is.
It is. And
Excellent.
hopefully this heat wave is settling down.
With any luck, we have a heat wave going on here as well. But we've got some thunderstorms coming in tonight and tomorrow, so that should just about kill that.
Yeah, we have that predicted as well. I can tell you the crunchy lawn could really use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. So, and I would suspect, thinking of wildlife, it must be a little warm for them as well. And ponds and stuff drying up makes it hard for them to find some water.
Yeah, it is. I was in the forest yesterday, running around looking at mushrooms, and it's cooler in the forest, but it's still very, very dry. Everything's very, very crunchy. And you have to be very careful to not have anything lit in there.
Yeah.
It could turn bad very fast.
Yeah, I took some leftover vegetables out into the woods last night for the deer to eat. And I take it to a spot where it is dark, a little darker and cooler and stuff like that. It's hot to go out in the open field. So, Alrighty. Well, what do you say? We get on with the news?
Might as well.
All right. First story is up.
Yes, coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, data suggests that CBD mitigates age-related cognitive decline.
Oh, good stuff. Cognitive decline in which a person experiences a gradual decrease in their thinking abilities is a natural and unfortunate part of the human aging process. It impacts people's ability to make decisions by slowing down their mental processing speed and working memory as they get older. Some people experience cognitive decline earlier in life than other people and at a more rapid pace compared to others. Now, mitigating age-related cognitive decline is a growing area of scientific research around the globe, including in Canada, where a team of researchers analyzed preclinical data focusing on cognitive decline and CBD.
Wow. One of the first studies I read when I got into the industry was about Alzheimer's dementia and cannabis. And it was an amazing article. It was an amazing study. So it excites me to see that people are still, trying to help find the answers.
Yeah.
Canadian scientists affiliated with the University of Lethbridge and McGill University examined preclinical data involving the use of CBD on aging mice. Their findings were published in the Journal of Frontiers of Aging Neuroscience. Aging is associated with cognitive decline, and currently there are no approved medications that can prevent these impairments. Pardon me. Recently, cannabinoids derived from cannabis sativa have emerged as promising therapeutic compounds with neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, and cognitive enhancing properties. The researchers wrote about their investigation. This study investigates the effects of CBD on memory impairment and brain inflammation in aging mice.
Nice. 14-month-old C57 mice were administered CBD orally for 7 months and subsequently elevated between 19 and 21 months of age using behavioral tasks that are sensitive to dysfunction of the parietal cortex, hippocampus, amygdala, and various brain regions that are crucial for motor control and coordination, the researchers stated about their methodology. And they concluded with saying the findings of the study indicate that CBD reduces inflammatory response in the brain and improves cognitive decline associated with aging.
As with all studies focusing on cannabinoids, the results of this study need to be kept in proper context. Further research, as always, particularly research involving human subjects, needs to be conducted until a final determination can be made regarding CBD's effectiveness at mitigating age-related cognitive decline. With that being said, the results of this study are encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a bad stigma on the cannabis end of things and how it goes at people's mental illnesses. But here's something that's telling us, hey, it can improve things that normally goes on the bad side.
That's what they want to do. I mean, years ago, they found out a lot of good stuff about cannabis because they were trying to prove all the bad stuff about cannabis. And like I said, one of the studies I read back then was about Alzheimer's or dementia, very similar to cognitive decline. One of the side effects of Alzheimer's is that, but it has to do with the deterioration of the myelin sheath around our nerves, therefore causing, as it goes, we get Alzheimer's and whatnot. So to slow down that deterioration, they did a study with cannabis, and it significantly slowed down. If I remember correctly, I think it was 86%.
Wow.
Yeah, it slowed it way down. Didn't stop it, didn't cure it, but it really did a number on slowing it. Yeah.
Improves quality of life in the end.
Absolutely.
All right. Next story is up, and this might be a bit of a familiar theme throughout the show today.
Maybe. Coming to us from the CBC, Sudbury police shut down magic mushroom shop and arrest 2 employees.
Sudbury police have arrested 2 employees at a downtown store that sold magic mushrooms, also known as psilocybin. The employees face drug trafficking charges, and police seized about $16,000 worth of magic mushrooms from the store.
The store, called Shroomies, opened in downtown Sudbury in November of 2024. Around that time, police officers met with store employees who voluntarily shut down the establishment. But police were later informed the store reopened at a location across the street in April of 2025.
A drug investigation started at the time, which accumulated with the execution of a search warrant on July the 2nd. And according to a release by the Greater Sudbury Police Services, they say, "We would like to remind our community that selling and possessing psilocybin is still illegal, and officers will continue with enforcement under the CDSA."
Wow. I think I remember that line, but instead of saying psilocybin, they said cannabis.
Yeah.
Exact line.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree. You have to agree with that. Okay, so there we go. That was a start of a theme that we're going to have throughout the show.
Sudbury. Now remember, Sudbury.
Sudbury, exactly. Okay, moving on to the next story. Here we go.
Coming to us from 420 Intel. Court ruling. Police's aerial camera use illegal.
Nice. The Oregon Court of Appeals reversed a lower court ruling on Wednesday, finding Oregon State Police violated the Oregon Constitution while taking photos of a property suspected of housing cannabis grow. The defendant, Signera, filed the appeal in February, seeking to appeal her conviction for unlawful manufacture of cannabis.
Oh, goody. In her appeal, Signera argued that authorities' warrantless aerial surveillance of her property should be considered an unlawful search, which would violate the Oregon Constitution. She furthered that the evidence obtained from the aerial surveillance should have been suppressed in her trial court case. The case goes back to June of 2021, when Oregon State Police Sergeant Tyler Bechtel took part in an aerial surveillance operation to investigate a suspected multi-county cannabis grow operation.
Now, according to court documents, her property was not one of the targeted locations in the investigation. However, while flying an aircraft with a powerful camera over her property, police noticed what looked to be a massive agricultural operation that was suspected to be a cannabis grow. The plane was flown by OSP at an altitude about 3,500 to 5,000 feet to record video of the property. Court documents state, noting that OSP then provided the video to the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
In addition to flying the plane over the property, court documents say Sergeant Bechtel received permission from a neighbor to take photos from their property of the suspected cannabis plants on this lady's property. Based on the aerial and the on-ground photos, the Polk County Sheriff's Office obtained a search warrant for this lady's property where they seized some of her belongings and arrested her, according to court documents.
Now, during the trial, she moved to suppress the evidence gathered from the surveillance flight and the search warrant. However, the trial court denied the motion. She then took a plea deal in which she pleaded guilty to the manufacturing charge and had the possession charge dropped. However, the appeals court panel, consisting of judges Scott Shore, Stephen Powers, and Ramon Pageant, agreed with her, finding this case of aerial surveillance constitutes an unlawful search of the Oregon Constitution.
Yep. Article 1, Section 9 guarantees individuals the right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search or seizure. The provision protects citizens from police conduct that is sufficiently intrusive to be classified as a search. The opinion from the appeals court said, absolutely. I mean, if they saw it, that they should have gone through proper channels. They should have asked, they should have had to do other work instead of, at the outset, we note that the defendant does not consent that the flyover was conducted at a lawful altitude. She acknowledges that if the officer could see cannabis plants from that altitude without visual aid, it would not constitute a search, nor would subsequent use of a camera to document what he had already seen constitute a search. However, defendant asserts that the officer was not able to identify cannabis from the plane by the naked eye, and therefore his use of the mounted camera constituted a search because it provided qualitative different information that could not be observed plainly. The state maintains that the camera did not provide materially different information that what the officer had seen with his own eye. The judges explained exactly up there in the. They even said it looks like a big agricultural thing, and that's all they knew.
Yeah. Now, during the trial, the OSP Sergeant Bechtel testified that he saw hastily built greenhouses, similar to the ones he's seen at marijuana grows, on her property, noting before using the camera, he could see green plants and the spacing of plants through translucent plastic in the greenhouse. Although the officer claimed he believed he saw cannabis plants, he carefully expressed that his identification was based on the totality of the circumstances. In other words, he did not claim he plainly saw cannabis, but rather that he saw circumstantial evidence of cannabis. The trial court's factual findings were limited to Bechtel's belief that he saw cannabis based on that circumstantial evidence. The footage does not support the trial court's implicit finding that at various angles, Bechtel was able to see into greenhouses through the plastic cover sheeting and identifying cannabis plants inside with his own eyes from altitudes ranging from 3,500 feet and higher. the opinion says. In the video, the particular plants in the greenhouses are not visible from any angle until the plane-mounted camera zooms in significantly.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just be careful, because the cops are going to spy on you from the skies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We note that our decision here is narrow and confined in the circumstances of the case. Officers can and have made lawful aerial observations of cannabis on private property, and this opinion does not preclude the ability of police to use technology under certain circumstances to aid in their aerial observations. We have repeatedly upheld the police use of technology to record what was openly visible to the observing officers, the appeals court added. We have never upheld as constitutionally permissible an officer's technologically enhanced surveillance to see what was otherwise indiscernible. We decline to do so here. In this case, the officer used technology to obtain information from inside defendant's private structures that was undetectable from his vantage point in public airspace. In doing so, the officer constructively invaded defendant's property in violation of her constitutional rights, the judges said.
There you go. Reacting to the appeals court decision, attorney Luke Miller, who represented Ms. Naka, in the trial court case, told CBC, the Coin News on Thursday, that he says, "We are happy with the decision. While the court did not pronounce the use of a high-powered camera attached to a fixed-wing aircraft unconstitutional, I think this case is an example of freedom, liberties butting up against advanced technology. Technology advances, law enforcement tactics change, but fundamental rights remain. As technology advances impacting law enforcement investigations, we will continue to use this tension. It's imperative our rights, including the fundamental right to privacy and to be left alone and not be subject to unlawful warrantless searches, remain intact." Now, a spokesman for the Oregon State Police, Jolene Kelly, says that while we do not provide comment on judicial decisions, our agency operates in accordance with applicable laws and court directives.
Yeah, and they reached out to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. The story will be updated if they receive a response. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Oregon Attorney General's Office told Coin 6 they're reviewing the decision, noting it will be a few weeks before they decide whether to appeal.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I think that if he had been up there and, side of the building was like not plastic, and he was able to like look and say, that's a cannabis plant, and then pick up the camera, life would have been different for this lady.
Yes. Yeah. It was just, they chanced it, and 5,000 feet up looking through plastic. Yeah.
There's no way that they were going to know for sure that that was cannabis. There are other vegetables that get planted in similar, manners and have similar heat descriptions, such as tomatoes.
Yeah. A lot of people grow tomatoes. A lot of people do. So, all righty. Time to move on to the next story, and then we'll be taking a break after this one. Here we go. Next story.
Yeah. This is not a repeat story. Coming to us from the Expositor, Brantford police seized over $29,000 worth of psilocybin products from a retail store.
So the last story about this was from Sudbury, and now this is Brantford.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Illegal psilocybin products valued at over $29,000 were seized by Brantford police from a retail outlet in Brantford. The Brantford Police Service Drug and Firearm Enforcement Unit began an investigation on June the 18th after receiving information that Fungi's on Murray Street in Brantford, part of a chain of retail dispensaries of magic mushrooms and other products containing psilocybin, had opened after previously being shut down. Now, on July 2nd, go ahead.
Yeah, these are the two big ones: Fungi's and Shroomies.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
On July 2nd, BPS executed a search warrant that resulted in the seizure of 2,596.5 grams of psilocybin with an estimated street value of $29,674, and the arrest of 28-year-old a 28-year-old Hamilton man who now faces charges of possession for the purposes of trafficking. Earlier in May, police investigated after shots were fired overnight at the store.
A fungi spokesperson told the London Free Press in December 2024 that the police had launched more than 120 raids on the stores and warehouses since the chain began operating in 2023. I remember we talked about that, and I thought they were shutting all the stores down as part of that.
They did at one point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Magic mushrooms and other products containing psilocybin, a naturally occurring psychedelic that can produce a range of effects, including altered perception and intense emotion, and can help you with your depression and many other issues, remains illegal in Canada. Yeah. So there we go. That's 2 police raids so far today
on mushrooms.
On mushroom dispensaries, and we're not done. As you said, a bit of a theme today. All righty. Well, I think it's time to take a break. I see that I noticed that they made some changes in StreamYard. And I'm really seeing them now. All righty. Off we go. It's time to hear from those sponsors that help us make our voices louder. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Re-rolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
All right, welcome back to the news. We got 4 more stories to cover. We're going to continue with that theme, but first, next story is up.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference. Poland study finds that hemp seed oil mitigates eczema symptoms.
All right. keep bringing the studies on. Now, according to international health researchers, atopic dermatitis, often referred to as eczema, affects roughly 20% of the children and 10% of adults worldwide. They say here, full disclosure, I am one of those adults and know firsthand how difficult eczema is to deal with when it flares up. Now, eczema is a chronic, relapsing inflammatory skin condition, and while that may not sound like a serious condition, it can be extreme cases. The skin condition is often associated with sleep disruptions, decreased work productivity, and the development of mental health conditions like depression and anxiety.
Yeah. A recent case study led by researchers based in Poland in conjunction with a researcher affiliated with De Montfort University of Leicester in the United Kingdom focused on the use of hemp seed oil as a treatment for eczema. The study's findings were published in the journal Current Issues in Pharmacy and Medical Sciences.
Go ahead.
Epidemiological studies conducted over the past 35 years indicate twofold rise in incidence, likened to environmental factors, among others, growing atmospheric pollution, rising socioeconomic status, and an increased popularity of the so-called Western lifestyle, the researchers wrote. Emollient therapy is the mainstay of proper skincare and treatment for, atopic dermatitis patients.
Then, as far as the researchers wrote about the methodology, they say the subject of the study was transdermal delivery of an emulsion compounded with cholesterol ointment, cannabis sativa L, seed oil, white petroleum jelly, purified water, and urea of the skin of hands of a 23-year-old male patient suffering atopic dermatitis since infancy. The emulsion was applied to the skin once daily before sleep and covered with cotton gloves for the night for the occlusion effect for the period of 3 months. In our observational study, regular 3-month application of the emulsion based on cannabis sativa L oil considerably reduced inflammation, erythema, pruderis, exarus, and scaling of the skin, soothing excoriations, and the researchers concluded. Go ahead.
I'm so glad that you got that paragraph. Recent market analysis by Future Market Insights estimates that the global hemp seed oil market is valued at American US $147.8 million in 2025 and is expected to climb to US $855.7 million by 2035, so in 10 years, showcasing a robust compound annual growth of 19.2%, blah, blah, blah. What's important from this is, and I know this personally from my own personal experience, I have psoriasis. And one of the things that kept my psoriasis at bay over the past, I'd say 20 years is the fact that I dose myself in cannabis. Like every bath I take is got cannabis in it somehow.
Right.
And I'm constantly putting it on my skin for aches and pains. And, I haven't had, knock on wood, any issue with psoriasis since I started doing that.
Yeah.
I never really completely put it together, but yeah.
I have a family member that has eczema, and I know years ago that's what I did is I gave them some cannabis oil and like as far as coconut oil and for them to rub into their skin.
Yep.
So, all righty. Continuing with the theme, here we go. Sudbury, Brantford, and
now where are we going? Coming to us from Barrie 360. No room for illegal shrooms. Barrie cops move in on Dunlap establishment.
A Dunlap Street storefront got a visit from the Barrie Police Drug Unit on Friday. A search warrant was executed according to the police at a location which they allege had been selling illegal magic mushrooms.
Wow. 3 raids on Friday. I wonder if cops were talking, and I wonder if there was more.
Yeah.
Police say the warrant resulted in the seizure of a number of illegal products, as well as the removal of signage, and several drug-related charges were laid. Additionally, Barrie police attended another illegal psilocybin location on Dunlap Street yesterday, which was the day before the raid, Thursday, June 3rd. While the locks were changed and signage removed to ensure the eviction process proceeded smoothly, and the illegal businesses was effectively closed, police stated in a news release.
Police say they continue to work with the city of Barrie as well as provincial and federal authorities to remove these illegal mushroom or psilocybin storefronts from the community. Now, the chief, Rich Johnson, says, "We recognize that the community is concerned with the implications of these storefronts, and the Barrie Police Service is committed to ensuring that our downtown core remains safe and welcoming place for all members of our community. With the support of the Barrie Police Service Board and the city, we have made it a priority to close down these shops and work towards eradicating them from our community." Wonder what the violence was that, or whatever, that made the store being unsafe.
Yeah. When shops appear, police immediately begin the steps required to seize products, make arrests and charges, and prevent these illegal, unregulated, and uninspected products from being sold. The police news release said. Police added that property owners who allow shops selling illegal substances such as psilocybin can also face financial and criminal repercussions. So they're not just they're going to go after landlords.
Yeah, and that's what they did with the cannabis thing too. Is they started going after the landlords for allowing them to open up the shop.
And they still do here in Nova Scotia. That's how they. That's one of the ways that they got Chris Enns to shut down, as they started attacking his landlord. And Chris will be a martyr, all there is, but he won't put somebody else's life on the line. So he made deals and he stepped down and closed the shop.
Right.
Which is sad.
Yeah. And I think I saw a post from him the other day saying that he was in court helping out somebody beat some charges.
Was helping out a mutual friend, Kelly Pye, beat his charges, and he did. Chris is now working towards becoming a lawyer. And really, the only thing that is stopping him from being a lawyer is a silly piece of paper, because that man has done so much studying when defending himself, learning from the likes of Jack Lloyd, and et al., like all of the other cannabis lawyers out there that he's worked with. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. All righty, on to the next story of the day.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, check cannabis legalization to take effect on January 1st, 2026.
There we go. In late May 2025, the Chamber of Deputies of the Parliament of the Czech Republic voted to approve a national adult use cannabis legalization measure. The basic provisions of the measure would permit adults 21 years and older to cultivate up to 3 plants in their private residence and possess up to 100 grams of dried cannabis flower. Only 100 grams and 3 plants, eh? Longtime Czech cannabis advocates Lucas Hurt announced today in a social media post that the measure was also approved by the country's Senate, and the measure will take effect at the start of 2026.
And here is his post. Yes, it's official. We just legalized it. History has been made in the heart of Europe. 3 plants per adult and 100 grams of dried cannabis legal from January 1st. The dark side fought hard until the very end, but we stood strong in the Senate and won. The Senate has approved the amendment to the Criminal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and related laws. Massive thanks to everyone who helped this happen. I'm not tagging anyone today, but I'd surely forget too many wonderful people. Congratulations.
You see, he's got the results there where it says there was 47 for, 0 against, and 62 people were present. Those people didn't want to vote.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
The approved measure also lowers penalties for individuals caught with amounts over the permitted personal legal possession limit. The approved measure in the Czech Republic does not legalize recreational cannabis commerce.
Czechia is set to join Malta, Luxembourg, and Germany on the list of European nations that have approved a national adult use cannabis legalization measure Uruguay, Canada, and South Africa have also approved national recreational cannabis legalization measures.
Wow. It is also worth noting that 24 states in the United States have adopted adult use cannabis legalization measures, although non-hemp cannabis remains prohibited at the federal level in the U.S. Additionally, regional adult use cannabis commerce pilot trials are operating in the Netherlands and Switzerland, and court decisions have been rendered in a handful of other nations around the globe that provide adult consumers some level of legal protection, although these policies are not the same as the legal protection afforded by an improved national legalization measure.
There you go. Another country added to the legalization list.
It's exciting.
The more the better. The tide is turning. Right? Alrighty. Last story of the day. And as always, it's a marijuana moment story. And I see we got like 25 minutes. So we should be able to get it in.
Maybe. This is a marijuana moment story.
I know. Here we go.
Coming to us from Marijuana Moment, Trump's VA secretary is particularly proud of psychedelic research aimed at helping veterans with PTSD. While here in Canada, we're shutting it all down.
Yeah. The head of the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs says he's particularly proud of the administration's work to promote research into psychedelics therapy, citing studies into substances into MDMA that show promising early results in the treatment for mental health conditions that commonly afflict the veteran community. In a clip from an interview with, that VA Secretary Doug Collins shared on X on Thursday, he said the department does some of the best research work and very specific research work.
Just looking at the picture, we have psilocybin, mushrooms, peyote, and I believe that is an iboga tree. Very beautiful. Yeah. Yep. Very, very beautiful. He said that while there are reports about canceled research contracts under the Trump administration, people shouldn't read too far into that because VA-funded studies are often on a rotating basis, and others are being funded through other means of or other assets. We're wanting to keep all of ours going, Collins said. One that I'm very particularly proud of is our research into the psychedelic issue.
The secretary noted that he recently visited a VA facility in New York City discussing MDMA therapies, which have been phenomenal in working with those with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injuries, those other issues that we have. And I know that there's some others going on. There's about 11 or 12 in the VA right now, he says. So that's the things that I see. Research, being able to provide not only help for veterans today, but also encouraging us to find out only things that will help veterans of the future, but also that will be helpful to the general public as well.
Yeah. I believe that education is the magic bullet for all of us, Collins said. The more we know, the better off we are. And I want to see that continue to happen in the VA. Collins's visit to the Psychedelics Research Center came about a month after the VA secretary met with a military veteran who's become an advocate for psilocybin access to discuss the therapeutic potential of psychedelic medicine for the veteran community.
Collins also briefly raised the issue in a cabinet meeting with President Trump back in April. The secretary also disclosed in April that he had an eye-opening talk with U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about the therapeutic potential for psychedelic medicine. And Collins said he's open to the idea of having the government provide vouchers to cover the cost of psychedelic therapy for veterans who receive services outside of the VA as Congress considers pathways for access.
That's nice. That's beautiful.
But unfortunately, I think relying on Congress might be a bit of a problem, but who knows?
Yeah, but it's a good first step. And I love his outlook. Like, hey, you can't get it in here. We're going to help you get it out there. I'm just, yay. Kennedy said last month that his agency is absolutely committed to expanding research on the benefits of psychedelic therapy. And alongside of the head of the Food and Drug Administration, is aiming to provide legal access to such substances for military veterans within 12 months, hopefully sooner. During a recent Senate committee hearing, Collins separately reiterated his commitment to exploring the efficacy of psychedelic therapy to address serious mental health conditions that commonly affect military veterans.
Meanwhile, in May, bipartisan congressional lawmakers asked the VA head to meet with them to discuss ways to provide access to psychedelic medicine for military veterans. In a letter sent to Collins, Reps Lou Correa and Jack Bergman, co-chairs of the Congressional Psychedelic Advancing Therapies Caucus, says they were encouraged by your recent remarks about the importance of pursuing research into psychedelic treatments and other alternative treatments to improve veterans' care.
Correa and Bergman separately introduced a bill in April to provide $30 million in funding annually to establish psychedelics-focused Center for Excellence at VA facilities, where veterans could receive novel treatment involving substances like psilocybin, MDMA, and ibogaine. Bergman has also expressed optimism about the prospects of advancing psychedelics reform under Trump, arguing that the administration's efforts to cut spending and the federal workforce will give agencies spines to tackle such complex issues.
There we go. All done.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, what? Oh, what's that?
And this, here, I'll read it. It's only a couple paragraphs.
Okay, all right. I actually still got it here. I didn't close off the tab. I just took it off the screen. I saw that there, and I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah, that dark part. And you just think, right? In December, VA separately announced that it's providing $1.5 million in funding to study the efficacy of MDMA assisted therapy for veterans with PTSD, or I, as I like to say, and alcohol use disorder. Last year, the VA's Yehuda also touted an initial study the agency funded that produced stunning and robust results from its first ever clinical trial into MDMA therapy. And in January, former VA Undersecretary for Health Sharif Lanhal said that it was very encouraging that Trump's pick to have Kennedy lead HHS has supported psychedelics reform, and he hoped to work with him on the issue if he stayed on for the next administration, but that didn't pan out.
There you go. Yeah. Well, hopefully, talk is cheap. Let's hopefully there's some action behind all that.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, there you go.
Yeah.
All done. We even got spare time. Look at that.
Wow. We're not used to this.
No, I know, eh? All right. Well, anything else before I sign this off? Oh, I know what I wanted to mention. And that was we talked about those raids. Sudbury, Brantford, Barrie. The Barrie story I mentioned too. Because it says
they talked to somebody who shut down and then they raided.
Yeah.
So there was four altogether.
And you made the comment earlier about, was this a coordinated thing? Because, quite often you'll see a report and you'll see it in several the same story in different newspapers or different sites online. But this was 3 different raids over the weekend, basically, or late last week, on psilocybin stores in the province. So you gotta wonder, was it a coordinated thing?
And they didn't say what the stores were in Barrie. They just said that the signage was taken down and there were 2 stores. So I'm curious. I was looking when we did the stories, and one could have been Shroomies. It could have been another chain, right?
Yeah. Who knows? But the it sort of looks that way, anyways. That it was coordinated. But it could be just a coincidence and just something that we picked up on. I don't know, but yeah. Okay, anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, that's it. That's the news for today. We hope you found it educational and informative. Thanks to our sponsors, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop At-Eze.ca and Limestone City Hydroponics.ca. Other than that, thanks to our viewers. We'll catch you on Thursday because today is Monday. And other than that, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.